In the last video, we looked at how to employ the lookup formula in order to categorize all our outstanding invoices based on our own brackets for days that they're overdue. In this video, we're going to introduce the pivot table. So in order to create a pivot table, we need to select some data. So you can just select our whole table and go to Insert Pivot Table. Okay, it's gonna tell us that it's gonna use table 4. This is the name of this table, and I'm gonna add it on a new worksheet. I can add it in an existing one, but usually it's a good idea to keep pivot tables on a separate sheet, and you're gonna see why in just a second. Click OK. Let me zoom that in a bit, and this is our pivot table. And here you can see our field. And if you don't see those, if you close them, once you step somewhere on the pivot table, go to Pivot Table Analyze, and then just look for Field List. And it's going to show you that. And pretty much takes all our columns and turns them into values that we can use to categorize, summarize, and do all kinds of interesting things. Something that we can do is, let's say here we have many invoices for the same client. What we can do here is, let's say we want our amount to be in our, you can see here we have 4 areas, and this one on the bottom right is values. This is where we put values that we want to summarize. So right now, if I put values here, it's going to show me the sum of the amount. And here it is, just format it in accounting. And you can see that if we go to our open invoices and select our whole column, here at the bottom we can see that our total is 22,901,558.9. And here we have the same thing. What this did, this pivot table, is it summarized all our amount. But what we can do now is we can go ahead and break it down and summarize it based on different criteria. We have the rows area here and the columns area. And rows would just like put the categories on the rows and the columns on the columns. The first thing that we can look at is, let's say we want to see how much are the outstanding amounts per company name, per client. So we just put company name here, and you can see a summary of each customer and the amount that they are owing us. And you can see that the total is still the same. The next thing we can do is, let's say we don't want to have only the client name. It's also easier to redistribute this list when it has the company code. So I can just drag it here above the company name. And you can see that they appear below each other, and this is sometimes nice to look at, easier because you can like collapse them with the minus and plus here. But what we usually do is go to the Design tab once I've stepped on the pivot table, and here we can go to Report Layout, Show in Tabular Form. And now we just need to get rid of all those subtotals. So I'm going to click on subtotals, do not show subtotals. And now we have a properly looking table with the company code, the company name, and the amount. This is already a nice way to look at how much each of our clients owes us. But because we went ahead and we did this aging group here, we can now use it to summarize. So we can grab the aging group and put it on our columns area here, and that way we're going to have the client going down and the aging group going to the right. So you can see that those are not due, not due, not due. So we have no issue with those clients. But once we get to Dickens Bradke, our client 113, we can see that we have some issues because they have invoices that are overdue. So those are not a big problem because they're like less than 30 days. Those are a bit worrying because you can see they had 2 months to pay, and they've already they're already at least 1 month on top of that, on top of those 2 months. So they're at least 3 months after the invoice was issued. And here, and especially here, above 1 year. So we need to like approach the responsible person for this client and talk to them, because it might be a case where they have some struggles. So we made some deal to give them like a longer period to pay, but it might be just the fact that they keep ordering and we keep shipping and invoicing and we never collect our money. This one here is not a problem because it's just like under 30 days. It's pretty fine. We should look at this one here, Hoeco, because apparently we haven't worked for them for a few months, but they still have like a large outstanding amount from more than 3 months ago. The same for this client, this client, this client as well. This is okay because it's just a bit overdue. This is just a bit overdue, but still we might look into it because there are no further sales done with this client. And that's pretty much it. And you can see that it's much easier to analyze once you have it that way than just looking at the individual invoices and when they were issued and trying to figure out what's going on. The other thing is that here you can like cut them however you like. Let's say we just want to look at a specific company and we want to see the invoices and where they fall in those categories. If I just grab the invoices and put them down here, it's going to be a huge list. And we don't want that. We want to see a single client. So what we can do is, so we can move the company code in the filters, and we can just filter by code and look just at this code, this company, and their invoices. So this one has 1 invoice, obviously. Okay, this one has 2 invoices. That's a nice way to do it. It's a bit of a problem that you lose the code here. You only get it here. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna remove this filter, and you can see here if you tick select multiple fields, then you can like select multiple fields pretty much. So just gonna leave it to all and move that back here, and I'm gonna leave the invoice here, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and add a slicer. I'm not gonna go into too much detail, but basically what you can do is you can go to a pivot table analyze, click this insert a slicer here, and pick which of your columns you want to use to slice. So I'm gonna pick my company name. You can pick multiple, but I'm just gonna pick the company name. Hit OK, and we have our slicer here that we can move around. And what it allows us to do is select a company, and it's gonna filter the pivot table for this company. Making this highlighted here, you can like do multiple selection and clear the filter from here. Okay, that's pretty much how to use a pivot table to summarize your data, and like a quick intro to slicers and how you can use them to be able to look at your data and filter it nicely without losing any information from the table. This was a bit of a longer video, but trust me, we're gonna look at pivot tables again because they're the most important tool you'll have working in accounting and finance. Okay, next video, we're gonna make this look nicer and more presentable so we can share it with others.